There comes a moment when you look in the mirror and don't recognize who's looking back. Not because your face has changed, but because something deeper has drifted. A quiet unraveling, subtle, invisible, but undeniable. You've been surviving for so long that living feels foreign. Enjoy what even is that. Somewhere along the way, your life became about getting through the day, just making it to bedtime. You measure success by how little you fell apart. That's not living. That's enduring. And no one taught you how to notice the shift. The way your laughter started sounding forced. The way your eyes glazed over in rooms that used to make you feel alive. The way your body began moving through the world like a stranger. You didn't choose this. Survival mode isn't a decision. It's a reaction. It's a response to pressure, to pain, to too much for too long. At first, it feels like strength, like grit, like you're powering through. But then it calcifies, and you forget what softness felt like. You forget what it's like to not be braced for impact, to not be constantly alert. Hyperware, exhausted but unable to rest. Maybe people praise your resilience. Maybe they call you so strong or so reliable. No one sees the quiet numbness beneath the surface, the emptiness that follows every task. The way your soul aches for something more, but you can't remember what more looks like. You used to dream. You used to care. You just function. Wake up, perform, collapse, repeat. It's a kind of ghosting from yourself. A slow disappearance? Not dramatic, just quiet, incremental, like erosion, like fading, and it's not your fault. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're running on reserves that were never meant to last this long. You adapted to survive. But that adaptation came at a cost, a disconnection from joy, from rest, from you, and you miss you, don't you? Not the productive version, not the performing version, the one who used to get lost in books or music, the one who felt things fully, who smiled without thinking about it, who didn't carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. That version of you isn't gone, just buried, under years of trying to hold everything together, under the pressure to always be okay. But there's still a flicker, a pulse, a soft voice beneath the noise saying, I'm still here. And that matters. Because healing begins with noticing, with naming what's been lost, with holding space for the truth you've been avoiding, that you're tired, you've been surviving, not living, that you don't feel like yourself anymore. That's not weakness. That's a sign. A whisper from the soul asking for something gentler, something slower, something real. The first step isn't fixing it. It's acknowledging it, giving your pain a name, letting your body say, I can't keep living like this. You are not alone in this disconnection. So many are silently fading behind strong faces, but you don't have to disappear completely. There is a way back, not to who you were, but to who you are, underneath the survival. That journey won't be fast or linear, but it starts here with breath, with honesty, with a tiny flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, there's more to life than just enduring. And maybe you're allowed to want that. Even if you don't know how to begin, even if it feels far away, it's okay. You're here. And that's enough for now. Survival mode rewires you in ways that are hard to notice until much later. Start to anticipate problems before they happen. Prepare for disappointment, even in moments that should feel safe. You stop trusting calm, because calm has always been the space before the chaos. It's the pause before everything crashes again. So even peace makes you anxious. Even joy feels suspicious. You smile, but you're waiting for the catch. You rest, but you can't relax. Your nervous system stays on high alert, even when nothing is wrong. Because it was trained by a world that kept you on edge. It learned that vigilance keeps you safe. That softness invites danger. That asking for help brings rejection. So you stopped asking, you became independent. So independent, it started to hurt. You carried everything alone. Even when your hands shook under the weight, you told yourself, I can handle it. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. You were never meant to hold the world by yourself. You were meant to be met, to be held. But when that didn't happen, you adapted. You built armor out of competence, out of silence, out of staying one step ahead of collapse. And maybe that armor saved you, but it also hid you. From others, from the softness of connection, from the warmth of being seen. You learn to survive by disconnecting from your body, your feelings, your needs. Because connection felt like a liability. Vulnerability felt like exposure. You dulled yourself to cope, and it worked. You survived. But now you feel the cost. The numbness where wonder used to be. The silence inside where your voice used to echo. You don't feel like yourself because you've been living as a version designed for survival. Not expression, not aliveness. That version is efficient, but not whole. Strong, but not free. Reliable, but not rested. You deserve more than that. You deserve to come home to yourself, to remember what ease feels like, what softness feels like, what it means to want something not because it helps you survive, but because it brings you joy. Maybe that feels far away right now, like a foreign language you used to speak. But your body remembers. Your soul remembers. You are not a machine. You're not a task list. You are not here to only endure. You're here to feel, to connect, to breathe. And there is time for that. Even now, even if healing feels inconvenient, even if you're used to ignoring your needs, you're allowed to be more than what survival made you. You're allowed to want softness, to move at the pace of your own breath, to not hustle for your worth, to cry without apologizing, to rest without guilt, to say no without explaining, to say yes to the things that nourish you. Survival doesn't get to define your identity. It may have shaped your coping, but it doesn't own your becoming. You are still in motion, still capable of growth, still allowed to evolve. Let this be your turning point. It's a place where you begin to feel again, not all at once, not in a flood, but slowly, gently, moment by moment. Let yourself notice small things. The way sunlight hits the floor, the way your breath feels in your chest, the sound of leaves moving outside your window. These are not distractions. They are invitations. To return, to remember, to rebuild a life that includes you in it. It's not just your performance, not just your productivity, but your presence, your heart, your truth. When you live in survival mode for too long, you start calling it your personality, the hyper-independence, the constant overthinking, the avoidance of stillness, the feeling of always needing to be productive. You forget that these were responses, that they were born from necessity, not nature. You weren't always this guarded. You weren't always this tired. You became this way because you had to be. Because you learned that safety wasn't guaranteed. So you turned yourself into a fortress, brick by brick, silence by silence. You stopped checking in with your own feelings. You didn't have the time, or the space, or the permission. Your needs were always last on the list, if they were even on the list at all. So you became a caretaker, a fixer, a performer, made yourself useful. And people praised you for it, for being so strong, so capable, so put together. But they didn't see the cost. How strength became your hiding place, how your smiles were rehearsed, how your silence was heavy with everything you never said. You learned to minimize your own pain, to say it's fine, even when it wasn't, to keep going, even when you were crumbling, because that's what survivors do. They adapt, they endure. But there comes a point when endurance isn't enough. When your body starts speaking the words you never did, through tension, through exhaustion, through numbness. That's the thing about long-term stress. It settles into your bones, into your breath, into the way you look at the world. It tells you that rest is dangerous, that softness is weakness, that needing others makes you a burden. But none of that is true. These are stories stress tells you to keep you alert, but you are allowed to rewrite them. It's allowed to choose a different rhythm, one that honors your inner world. It's not just the outer demands, one that values gentleness as strength, that sees slowness as sacred, that doesn't confuse stillness with laziness. Healing asks for a different pace, a different way of relating to yourself. It asks you to listen to your body, your breath, your buried longing, to sit with discomfort without fixing it right away, to witness your pain without shrinking from it, to remember what you've ignored, and to treat it with care. This is not easy, especially when survival has trained you to override your instincts, to rush past yourself, to stay useful instead of present. But healing invites you to pause, to unclench, to breathe before reacting, to ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Not what's expected, not what keeps the peace, but what truly supports your well-being. That question might feel foreign. You may not have an answer yet. It's okay. Start small. Drink some water. Step into the sunlight. Name your feeling without judging it. These are not luxuries. They're the slow rituals of returning to yourself, to the version of you that doesn't just survive, but lives. It's not about fixing everything at once. It's about noticing, reconnecting, softening the grip. Survival taught you urgency. Healing teaches you presence. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to rush your way back. Every small moment of self-awareness is a step. Every breath that slows you down is progress. You are not broken. You are in the process of becoming whole again. There's a grief no one talks about, the grief of losing yourself. Not to a single tragedy, but to 1,000 small surrenders. To the days you ignored your body, to the nights you silenced your heart, to all the times you chose what was expected over what was true, and you didn't even notice the pieces slipping away, till one day you woke up, felt like a stranger in your own skin. You looked in the mirror and didn't recognize your own eyes. Not because your face changed, because the light inside had dimmed. You smiled, but it didn't reach your soul. You spoke, but your words felt distant. You moved through your life like a ghost, present in body, but absent in spirit. This is what survival does. It numbs. It teaches you to disconnect, to power through instead of feel. And when you live like that long enough, you forget what feeling even is. You forget joy that isn't rushed, rest that isn't guilt-laced, silence that isn't heavy, connection that isn't exhausting. You forget how to be with yourself without checking out. But underneath that disconnection, you still exist. The real you, the one who laughed freely, the one who dreamed with wonder, the one who didn't carry the weight of the world. That self isn't gone, just buried, beneath the armor you had to wear, beneath the roles you had to play, beneath the years of holding it all together. But that version of you is waiting. It's waiting for a safe moment to return, waiting for you to remember. Remember what you loved, what made you feel alive, what made you feel you. Maybe it was music, or dancing barefoot in your room, or sitting under the stars with no agenda. Maybe it was writing or painting, or laughing with someone who truly saw you. Whatever it was, it still matters. It still belongs to you. You haven't lost it. You've just lost touch with it. You can rebuild that connection. Gently, slowly, with grace. Start by being curious. Ask yourself, what used to make me feel most like me? What moments felt honest, not performed? What places felt safe? Who made me feel real? This is not about returning to who you were. It's about making space for who you are becoming. Self-shaped not just by pain, but by care. It's a self that knows both survival and softness. That knows how to endure, but also how to exhale. You don't have to recover all at once. You don't have to force the light back in. Just let it in one moment at a time, through small choices, through tiny rebellions against the numbness. Choosing to rest even when you feel you haven't earned it. Choosing to speak honestly even when your voice shakes. Choosing to feel even when it's inconvenient. These are sacred acts, acts of reconnection, acts of return. And yes, it may feel awkward at first. You may not know what to do with yourself, or what to feel. But awkwardness is a sign of growth, a sign that something new is being born, that your healing is beginning to unfold. It's not through grand breakthroughs, but through quiet awakenings, through the simple act of noticing that you miss yourself, and that you want more than just survival, that you want to feel again, to care again, to be again. And that wanting is sacred. Honor it. Protect it. Let it guide you home, because you are still in there, still worthy, underneath it all. Even if you don't feel like yourself right now, even if you're still lost in the fog, it's that self is not gone. She's waiting for you to return. Healing doesn't always look like joy. Sometimes it looks like grief, like finally crying for the version of you that had to be so strong for so long. Like sitting in stillness and letting the ache speak, not to wallow, but to witness. Because you deserve to be Sinevan in your sorrow, even in the moments you feel furthest from yourself. Especially then, this isn't failure, it's tenderness. It's the quiet return of feeling, of your body saying, I'm here. I've been holding all of this for you. Now it's asking you to listen. Not rush past it, not fix it right away. Just be with it. Let it teach you. Let it soften you. Because survival mode made everything sharp. Your words, your shoulders, your breath, you moved like a clenched fist. Always ready. It's always bracing. But now, you're allowed to unclench, to not have all the answers, to rest without earning it, to ask for comfort and not apology. You're allowed to be needy sometimes. That's not weakness. It's being human. We weren't made to carry it all alone. We weren't made to perform our way into love. And yet, so many of us did, because the world taught us love was conditional, that you had to give more to be kept. That silence made you safe, that your needs were too loud, too inconvenient, too much, so you shrank, you dimmed, became palatable. And slowly, you disappeared from your own life. But the truth is your needs matter. Your feelings are valid. Your voice deserves to take up space, even if it trembles, even if it shakes loose the comfort of others. You are not here to make everyone else comfortable at the cost of your own truth. You're allowed to disrupt the story that says your worth comes from being quiet, or agreeable, or endlessly giving. You're allowed to write a new one. One where you belong to yourself first, where you check in with your own needs before pouring out, where you offer yourself the compassion you gave away so easily. Maybe you've never done that before. Maybe it feels foreign. But foreign doesn't mean wrong. It just means unpracticed. And you can practice. Start small. Say no when you mean no. Say yes only when your heart aligns. Take breaks before you burn out. Celebrate small wins. Rest without guilt. Let yourself be seen even when you feel messy, especially when you feel messy. That's when you need love the most. Not praise for being perfect. Presence in your imperfection. Someone who says, you don't have to hold it all alone. If no one says that right now, say it to yourself. Hold your own hand. Speak kindly to your own inner child. Tell her she's safe now, that she doesn't have to earn her place, that she can rest, that she can breathe. This is how reconnection begins, not with grand declarations, but with small, repeated tenderness, with learning how to be a safe place for yourself, how to return to the home inside your own chest. Even if it's been boarded up for years, you can start again. You can open the windows. Let light in. Let life in. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. Piece by piece. Breath by breath. Word by word. Until one day you look in the mirror, and instead of seeing a stranger, you see someone who survived, slowly, beautifully. You see someone who is coming back to life. One day, you'll notice the quiet has changed. Not the silence of disconnection, but the stillness of peace. A calm that comes from finally feeling safe. Not because life is perfect, but because you've stopped abandoning yourself. You've learned how to stay through discomfort, through doubt. How to sit with your pain instead of running from it. How to soothe your fear without silencing your truth. This is what healing feels like. Not a straight line, but a slow, sacred circling back. Back to your body. Back to your breath. Back to the person you were before the world told you who to be. You are returning, not to your old self, but to your whole self. The version that can hold both light and shadow. Joy and grief, strength and softness. You're learning to trust your own rhythms, to honor your need for slowness, to see rest not as laziness, but as love. You're not falling behind. You're healing at the speed of safety, and that's enough. You don't have to rush to be okay. You don't have to fake smiles for anyone's comfort. You get to be honest here, raw, real. Because the more you show up as you are, the more you remember who that even is. Not the mask, not the role, not the performer, but the person beneath it all. The one who laughs when no one's watching, who cries over poems, who gets overwhelmed by beauty and tenderness and unexpected kindness. That's still you. It's always been you. You didn't lose yourself. You buried yourself for safekeeping. And now, with gentle hands, you're uncovering what was never knownly hidden, covered in layers of coping, shaped by survival, but not destroyed. Never destroyed. Your soul is intact. It remembers how to bloom, even in winter, especially in winter. When everything seems still, life is quietly moving underground, preparing for spring, and you are no different. You're growing new roots, letting go of what no longer fits. It's making room for something softer, something true. And when that first bloom comes, you might not even notice it first. Just a slight lift in your chest. Tear that falls for no reason, except maybe relief. A moment when you feel at home in your skin again. These are the signs that you're not just surviving anymore. You're beginning to live, to feel again, to hope again. And no, it won't be perfect. There will be days you slip back into old habits. That's okay. Healing is not about perfection. It's about compassion. Meeting yourself where you are, over and over, without punishment, without shame. You're learning to hold yourself with love, and that changes everything. Because when you stop fighting yourself, you free up energy for joy, for wonder, for creativity and connection, for the quiet magic of being alive. This is your homecoming. Not a destination, but a practice. A promise to keep showing up for yourself, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. You're not who you were before the pain, but you're not lost either. You're becoming. And every step you take, every breath, every choice to stay, is a testament to the fact that you're finding your way back. This is quiet philosophy, where thinking isn't loud, and life doesn't need to be either. Subscribe if you haven't already, not for noise, but for something you can actually feel.